Charles Leclerc went a little bit AWOL.
Can I just say, shout out to the...
we need to talk about that.
Shout out to the watch time warriors, by the way.
If you got to the end of the stream.
Because realistically, Ferrari Civil War is definitely in the title of this podcast. And we have waited till low-key towards the end to talk about it. Yeah, Charles Leclerc went rogue, ladies and gentlemen.
Unbelievable.
That
What do we
almost
think, boys?
ended in disaster.
What do we think, boys?
Unbelievable. Flashes of Baku and bloody
It looked...
Danny Rick and Max
it
Verstappen, right?
was identical,
Very
wasn't
similar. He's lucky. I don't hate it, lads. We're here to see racing.
No risk.
I know. Can you imagine? And Charles Leclerc just conveniently did it.
Full risk? Yeah, that's okay.
Make my car a missile. I mean, in a season like this, when they're not going to win titles, then they're probably not going to win a... Well, they might win a race. I doubt it, though. This is what they've got to fight for. This is it. And if you're not getting on the podium when you've got a chance to do it...
Especially as only one of them was going to get on that podium as well.
Who are you?
I think that played into it.
I just say, if there's one team that you can probably easily override what they say to you, it's easily Ferrari, isn't it?
Good at it, yeah.
They just turn around and say, you didn't really say that, did you? No, you didn't say that.
Like, they're not going to go Charles Leclerc. Right, listen, we just...
You're out.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he can quite easily just do whatever the fuck he wants.
But so we were talking earlier, right? And you said, you know, the disappointment you feel as a Hamilton fan for him to not be fighting at the front. You look at Charles Leclerc and the promise he was showing in 2019 when they had that illegal engine. And, you know, like most poles that year, right? Exceptional races. Obviously got he was going to get that win in Bahrain, was it? And then the car broke down. And then he finished on the podium behind Lewis. Oh,
yeah, he didn't break down. He just,
the potential that Leclerc showed, and then all of a sudden that 2020 car was absolute asinine. Like, it was terrible. And it's just now he's having to deal with this shit. Like, Charles Leclerc, man, I do... Like, when it comes to potential, and if Charles was never able to get that, like, title-winning car, that would be such... Because how can he leave Ferrari? Because that's the team that means so much to him.
Yeah.
Like, winning a title at Ferrari is going to be more valuable, surely, than going somewhere else with the chance of winning a title. But not even a guarantee.
Mercedes.
But even then, it's still a shot.
It's not a guarantee, is it?
No, of course it's not. But I think Charles still at this stage, I don't think it's the tragedy. It's not the same extent of unfulfilled potential if we're comparing and contrasting to Lewis at the moment, because I think Charles still has
so long left in his career.
Yeah, but at least
and he still has a cheeky mistake in his locker.
And lost than never to have loved at all.
Love that. That's true.
And Lewis has won 7 more titles.
True.
Charles is clearly in the right environment, can fight for a title, of course. And we saw that in 2019.
But can he, Tommo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Max Verstappen is...
100%.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, he needs more experience. That was his first time.
I think you guys are conflating speed with championship worthiness, because nobody's doubting. Nobody here is doubting that Charles Leclerc has pace for any one of those bods on the grid. But as far as, because we're talking about, Shez, don't do this naive thing again. You know that to win a championship, to win a love you, bro. To win a championship takes more than just speed. Yeah, and as if you're doing like,
he was too crash happy. Yeah,
he's too crash happy. He's too naive as far as his strategy is concerned. And ultimately, if you're talking about, if you're going to go head to head with a Lewis, or go head to head with a Max Verstappen, or go head to head with a Fernando Alonso, those the last two things that I mentioned, you're going to need those. And I'm arguing that Charles, as at September of 2023, doesn't have enough of those things in his locker.
And as of
he's not there yet.
But like in 2 years,
not there yet. That's why I can't put him on that unfulfilled potential.
Go on, Shez, come back.
And I would argue that it's not. The reason he is where he is not because of him, it's because of his team. Max and Lewis never had to worry about their team messing it up for them.
They never had to fight their team as much as Charles.
Yes, you have to fight the guy in the other car, in the other team, apart from sort of the Lewis Rosberg season, but their car was so far ahead they didn't have to worry about anyone else. But Lewis, when he was fighting Max, didn't have to worry about Valtteri, didn't have to worry about the team messing up pit stops and strategy, and they're not going to give me a good car, they're going to give me a crap engine. All of that is a given, so you can concentrate fully on winning races.
So you're saying
and if you look at the first 3 races of 2022,
he was a beast.
Leclerc was all over it. When he didn't have to worry about the team messing it up, he was the man.
Yeah, he was a beast.
He does need to scrub the mistakes out.
But I think the mistakes.
He was a beast until Verstappen clocked his game a little bit.
Right.
You know?
So the question is,
The Red Bull became a lot quicker.
why are these incidents happening? Is it because he's over pushing?
Yeah.
That's
Because, Max remember crashed up in days, right? When he first jumps in the Red Bull, over pushing. If you know that you need to be driving to have, he got double pole at Baku, remember, right?
Gangster.
Because he was on the limit, right? And we saw that on his lap, right? He was he had to be on the limit. There's no margin. We talk about Max now, right? He's got this great car. He can afford to take it down a little bit and just be sensible, not go for that lap one crazy overtake on science, take his time and get past. When you're in Charles' situation, when you're in Max's situation, when he was in Red Bull earlier in his crashed happen days, that leads to more incidents.
And the difference between Charles and Carlos is that Carlos is happy, he's comfortable with the way that the car is at the moment. He's happy to drive it within the limits of the car because he recognises that it's not just him that's put them in that position. Whereas I feel like Charles gets in his own head sometimes and feels like it's his responsibility to drag the team forward.
And so what's that, Ches?
Yeah, but
How do you
the team then
characterise that?
propagate
Because
that.
that's not Charles.
Yeah, but the team then propagate that as well.
And also, this isn't anything, this is Ferrari.
They then tell him and have that, Matteo putting his arm around him after Silverstone going, oh, mate, actually it is you.
Out of order. But as a driver, all right, look, okay, so you put some of the accountability and the liability on the shoulders of Scuderia Ferrari.
I do.
Absolutely. But equally, bruv, Charles can't absolve himself from responsibility completely. Hence why I say, if you're talking about championship worthiness in the broader context of unfulfilled potential, I'm not putting Charles just there yet because I see he's got too many deficiencies in his game as that September.
I think better men than Charles Leclerc have struggled within that team. Fernando, I think, is pretty much the only driver in the last 20 years that has managed to bring something out of Ferrari.
Yeah.
Vettel dropped it.
Yeah, I see your point.
Leclerc's now doing the same thing as well. You put Leclerc in a team that coddles him and makes him feel special, and
Maybe. But
Also, is reliable as well.
That's why
There are
does
so
those,
many instances of drivers who have proven to be fantastic in certain machinery, or even within the same team. You look at Vettel 2013 to 2014, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Polar change in performance there. You look at Ricciardo, Renault to McLaren.
Yeah, I get it.
He was one of the most on-form drivers at the end of 2020, coming out of that Renault stint. Two back-to-back podiums in that Renault. I did a fantastic job. Goes to McLaren. And
it doesn't work out.
for me, that's the beauty of F1, and that I mean, total tangent here, but that's why what Max is doing right now is unreal, because it is the perfect marriage of man and machine.
Yeah, I smashed it. I don't know. I don't want to give. I love Charles Leclerc, but I don't want to give him. He's not there yet, chaps.
Yeah.
Let's not jump the gun on him being a championship contender.
To be honest, I do hear that.
He's not there, bro.
But it's genuinely marginal. It's genuine in my eyes. It's genuinely close.
Niran, is it marginal? Okay, so
All he has to do is get less mistake happy in my eyes, and I think that comes with experience.
Niran, you know what it is? The problem for me that makes me think he's further away from being championship worthy than a lot of people think. Not the mistake. Or the frequency of mistakes, the type of bloody mistakes that he's making, right? Yeah. That one at Imola, what are you doing?
Yeah, Imola, that made no sense.
What are you doing? It's like
and
brain fade.
Realistically, but that was
oh my gosh, yeah, but that's kind of overdriving a model car. But he makes these mistakes that you're just like, what? What are you doing?
I just feel like today,
evil,
I think today it felt to me like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like he's in this situation where he's. Yeah, it feels like he's talking about Science's rear tyres. Yeah. Max was talking about Science's rear tyres first, they're coming off. And Leclerc's talking about it. And he's like, fuck, this is my shot at a podium.
Yeah.
And he's actively gone against the team. Everyone's hearing those team radios is actively gone. I haven't heard, I was trying to look before this podcast for some Charles quotes. Haven't seen any yet.
What do you reckon Carlos thinks about all of that?
Mate, chaos. He's got to be pissed.
I'm not going to lie,
every man for themselves.
I would respect fair fucks, man. We're in this together, whatever. But
they can't turn against each other because I think they're fighting against the team.
Yeah.
They also couldn't have swapped them round in the race, because can you imagine if you had swapped them around in the race and then Carlos loses the podium because Charles finishes just in front of him?
But Charles went into into race day cheesed off, right?
Yeah.
Because he said toe. Where was the bloody toe? Let's sort out the toes in quality. And Ferrari have a history of attempting toes and fudging them up right,
by the way.
which is chaos. But try it right, perfect it, execute it properly, and you get a 10th or 2. Charles was cheesed off going into the race because of that. And then again, he ends up in this position where it feels like his teammates holding him up. So I don't blame him, man. And Tommo, we were screaming for racing all race. Right?
And look, I think that gap between teammates, I think Leclerc's got the edge on science, but it's close enough that it doesn't become like, I think they've got the perfect balance of like talent-wise in those 2 seats. But you've got them Ferrari on top who are ultimately going to mismanage it and frustrate a driver where Charles feels like he just needs to go be like completely selfish and not play the team game and flagrantly disregard what the team is saying. Like that's a statement.
Yeah,
because that doesn't happen very often.
And that's come off the back of him, in Zandvoort just coming into the pit lane.
Oh my God!
Making decisions. This is the Charles I wanted to see.
And this is what Carlos used to do, and we gave him credit for it. And now I'm going to give Charles credit for taking it.
They weren't ready, and that's again why when it comes down to like, there's only like so much he can do when they are institutionally incompetent. If he's coming into the pit lane going, I am taking this by the scruff of the neck, I'm coming in now, I'm making the decision, and I know it's the right one, and then he gets there, they don't have any tyres for him, that he's hit the ceiling of what he can do in that situation.
But I don't hate it, bro. Scuderia Ferrari have got
they're a limiting factor.
But also, they weren't the only teammates to potentially trip over each other today.